All right, that has ended our panelists with the questions that we have organized for them. Right about now, just please stay seated. We will have a few questions in the crowd. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I would love to come to you, hand you the microphone, state your question, and our wonderful panelists will answer your question. All right, right about now, does anyone have a response or question they would like to ask? We got one right here. All right. State your name, brother, and where you're from, and what question that you have.
Do I stand up? My name is Devondre. Yeah. My question is for the Africans. I know, like, back first generation Africans who grew up here, a lot of they used to get bullied or talked about from a lot of African American kids of their own kind, the same skin color. So I was just wondering, do you have some type of resentment about the way that African culture is being accepted now? Does that make sense?
Thanks for the question, Qulture. Yeah, I grew up in Canada, and most of Canada is really similar to America in a sense. I had black friends who were from every different cultures, and I have heard a lot of jokes about me being African, and both from black and white friends, and I wouldn't say it's something that I resent at all. It's most of it would just be from a point of view, I know they don't really understand my culture, they don't understand where I came from, and part of it might have been curiosity. When they see something they don't recognize, or hear something they don't recognize, they might question it, and I think it's really important that we don't immediately take aggression to curiosity. I don't want to attack someone's curiosity. I usually just use that opportunity to inform them and let them know where I'm from, and I feel like it's better when we all learn from each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm first generation American. So as far as how I was being accepted, I would say that first I was just black, no question, in North Dakota. But when I came down to the South, I came to Stark about 5 years ago. I realized that there was a different sort of black that I was. So I wasn't really, I wasn't black, I was African black. So I got a lot of questions in high school growing up, and I would say, personally, I don't really have, I guess that part of the question you could add, and I didn't really have resentment towards my identity, but I would say that it was just confusing because I myself had to kind of reevaluate the new environment that I was in and seeing where I fit in, and I'm not white, but I talk white, but I'm not black because I don't know trap. I know trap now, but when I first came in, I didn't know trap. So I would say it was just confusing. And as far as aggression, I wasn't really talked to mean or asked any questions which were out of the ordinary. But I was kind of isolated or kind of out of the conversation because I had to tune my ears to understand maybe the slang and get used to that. So I was kind of on my own for a while, and I'll just credit State. State did a great job of having a diverse group of people who accept me, and finding ASA helped find a community. So the people who want to be ignorant and don't want to learn, you kind of leave them alone, because I didn't want to engage in fight my couple first years in high school. But people who want to learn, like you said, you want to educate them and just let them know. So find those people who are accepting really helped my high school experience and make it not all that bad.
All right. Okay, all right, next question right here. All right, state your name, where you're from, your culture, anything you'd like to share.
Okay, thank you. My name is Yassine. I'm from a French-speaking African country, and yesterday I was talking with I don't know, African American or American African, and I was telling her that, hey, I don't know how to refer to you guys because sometimes it might be difficult for you to recognize yourself as African Americans. And then she told me, you should call us American Africans. So I would like to ask the panelists about that. And I have a second question, which is about history. So when Caucasians refer to their history, they would go back to the Greco-Roman history, which was kind of the summum of their history, you know, and they are proud about that. We Africans, at a certain time, we had nothing to refer to. Then I remember when I started my first year of university, I discovered this guy called Sheikh Anta Diop and his research about ancient Egypt, and that those guys who created the pyramids are actually black Africans, not Arabs or say Caucasians. And I love that history because at a certain extent, or you know, it empowered me. So I would like to know how you African Americans or American Africans again, how you think about that history, I mean ancient Egypt, and if you are kind of proud that those guys who did all those wonders are black. Thank you.
So the thing is, my cultural identity I take is African American. The girl that told you that we call ourselves American African was playing with me. Nobody in America, I don't know if I can vouch for it, but nobody black in America calls themselves American African. We put the African before American because that's what we're labeled. We were labeled that. We were called black because they wanted to degrade us, say we're something different. So it's the cultural identity that gave us. Does that make sense? And about your question about Egypt, I think that's actually, for me, I take pride in being black. I am, like, the culture, like, I've always cultured about I am African American. That's the identity I take. And to know that my ancestors, like, my descendants, like, I'm from this great continent with people that actually built these great pyramids that were black like me is just amazing to see, you know? So, like, I take pride in that. I'm not sure if I can speak for other African Americans, but that's how I see it as an African American.
To the first question, like you said, it's a label that people put on us. So we're called African Americans because our ancestors were African, but we live in America. But if you ask any white person, whatever, they're just gonna say American. They don't say Caucasian American. They don't say European American and none of that. That's something that they force minorities to do. Because people are Asian American, people are African American, people are all minorities have something in front of their American, except for the ruling class. So, to be honest, I don't care whether you call me African American or black. As long as you're not black, and as long as you black, you can call me whatever you feel like, as long as it's not degrading. Like, as long as you don't mean something degraded by it. Because if a white person calls me African American, I'm not gonna be mad, because that's what we've been considered. If a white person calls me black, and white people really think that black is a slur. They really do for some odd reason. If the white person calls me black, the black person calls me black. I don't care because I am black. And if you want to differentiate between African American and black, that's fine, but I personally don't. So, and to the thing about the culture and sort of being proud of things that happened after like the Egyptians and the building of pyramids, I am very proud of that. I am very proud to know that I am somehow related to that. And but at the same time, I connect more to the grace that we had here, if that makes sense. So I have an English minor and creative writing minor, so I'm like all into like literature and reading all that. So I like looking at like Qulture, I like looking at the great authors that we had, Langston Hughes, things like that. I like looking at the phenomenal musical artists that we've had, like Michael Jackson and like, I like Donald Glover a lot. And people that we consider legendary who have been African, who have been black. It's not to take away from the great people that who have been African, but I can relate more to the people who have been African American, who have gone through the same thing that I have, in a time where it was technically worse for them, and they managed to make something great, and that has been recognized by the world. So I connect more to the people who came before me, right after slavery.
So to answer your first question, as far as African American or American African, I'm kind of like Joseph. I don't care as long as you're not disrespectful. But you know, different strokes for different folks. So there's a lot of people who, you know, they feel as if African American, because it was given to us by the white man, that they don't want to be called that by anybody because it's degrading to them. So they would rather you call them something else or whatever they prefer. And it's really just, it's a preference thing. So you just gotta know who you're talking to. And as far as like me being proud of what like my ancestors done, I'm kind of like Joseph, but at the same time, I'm proud to know that, you know, they like to say the pyramids were built by the white man or Arabs, but it was actually built by us. And that's like, I don't know, gives me a sense of pride. Like, no, I descended from them. And then like, I also like to see like African Americans, like what all we did like during slavery times, what all we did like post slavery times, what all we're doing now, because we're still disrespected. We're still not given the credit that we deserve because we're black and we're still a minority, and it's kind of like, I wouldn't say they brush us under the rug, but we're not praised as much as the white man, white people. Our achievements and everything we accomplish is just kind of, you know, kind of play second fiddle to a lot of stuff.
Until you made like traffic lights and
Yeah.
and all this other stuff.
Yeah, like Benjamin Bennett.
Right.
Yeah.
He designed all of DC, and we don't hear nothing about that.
Exactly.
So,
So y'all know who made the laundry detergent, not laundry, what's it called, the washer and dryer was a black man too. So the traffic light, the stop signs, black man. How to get a baby out when they're defective for black men. So like, we're strong people.
like first surgery, heart surgery, stuff like that, stuff that people never tell you that you have to go look up under like piles of books. It's just crazy. So we like to hear all of that too.
All right. Okay, thank you, panelists. Okay, we have 3 last questions. They're already been picked. We have one right back here, if I can catch your attention. All right, sir, I would like you to introduce yourself once again and ask your question.
Hello, my name is Asisha and I'm an Agacha. Welcome to this Equipe de Jogar Kingsley. All right, I have 2 questions for the African Americans, the panelists and in the room. So my first question is, where did the term African booty scratcher come from? 1, and who created it?
Bro, I would like to know as well. Like, I have no idea where people like.
I first heard it used in, I don't know, my first time hearing it was when Kendrick said it, so.
Cannabis is not even city.
I don't know anything about that in Florida, but New York.
I'm right. I see you. Oh, you was waving, never mind.
We don't know Asisha.
Yeah, nah. But apparently they haven't heard it. You from Florida?
I heard it in Jackson, Mississippi.
I heard in Jackson, Mississippi all the time. But
Jackson, Mississippi is a very cultured and very responsible city, by the way.
yeah, it is, and it's so cultured that we can make up new terms for stuff. Like only Shakespeare can do that. But anyway, like I have no idea where it came from. But it was just something that we said. I heard it in 3rd grade, and maybe a little before 3rd grade. But after that, everybody was sort of like cool, and I ain't never hear it again. So yeah, and you know, kids is evil. So they like insulting each other. They really do, and like they'll think of anything. Like if you really listen to kids talk to each other, like they will make up new stuff to insult you all the time. So I mean, it just came like, okay, you have to put that in the front, and then you be scratching your butt, so we're gonna put that at the end, and then that's just how it is. So yeah, that's the etymology.
All right, second question. So do like Black Americans or African Americans get offended or some type of way if Africans use the word nigger?
Personally, I don't, because my whole thing is, if once you come over here, the police not gonna care if you African or you black, like, or if you came from here. They go, you nigger, and then shoot you. Like, that's all that's gonna happen. So what is something that makes all of us our common ancestors. So as long as you're respectful about it, because for me the N-word isn't a curse word, it's a blessing. Really? It's something that connects me to my brothers and my sisters. So, but it's called reappropriation. So the white people used to call us that in order to degrade us. We've taken it back as a term in order to empower each other. But whenever someone who isn't black says it, it adds that curse back to it. It's been a curse to us this whole time. We created a blessing out of it. So whenever I call my friends that, even if they don't say it, because I have a lot of black friends who don't say the N-word, but they know, my man is. But when I call him that, like, he understands that I am saying that he is my brother, that we have been through a lot of stuff. It may not be the same, but it's been something that's hard for both of us.
from what I've learned, maybe the word really doesn't cause a rift between black peoples of the world. Okay, but as I said, when it crosses the boundary, because the word itself has historical connotations, therefore it's not an innocent word in itself. Okay, because of the history that follows it, it becomes very important to be careful. I would suggest that even if you have not maintained a close level of relationship with someone, don't use the N-word for the person. I mean, if you're an African and you don't have a sort of friendship with an African American, don't use the N-word. Place the person in a position of respect first. Because I've also heard people argue that you did not understand his experience. You are African. You were in Africa while my own grandparents suffered here, so you have no right, which is true. It's an history. So if you have that rapport with a person, fine. Probably you should. But it's safe not to assume knowledge and to just use the N-word. As a matter of fact, I took a class and my professor said every other person who is not African American or black should not use the N-word. And it was a class on critical race. So it was like a division, but it was so. Every white student in the class could not use the N-word, whatever that person used it. So it's just being careful.
For me, I personally feel like an African shouldn't use the word. I'm gonna say this because black people, we've been through a lot in this country. We've been through slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and we're still going through things now. We took that word and made it our own. So an African coming in and saying the word when they didn't go through our experience, even though you've had your experiences, that's our word. And that's how I see it. But if you say it, I'm not gonna get offended, because at the same time, you're black too in America. But that's just my opinion on it.
Personally, as long as you're black, to me, like, you know, I don't really care, because we're oppressed by the same people. So like, kind of like what Joseph said, like, we're both black, we both see that we're black, everybody else is gonna see that we're black, and why am I gonna create a divide between us on something, like we're already fighting everybody else, why we gotta fight with each other? I like this topic.
Okay.
I do have many
All
things
right.
to learn.
We're gonna take these last three questions, one right here, one right there, and one over there is the last question we'll take for tonight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave and end these questions, I would like you all to stay around. We have presentations, boards, and setup and everything from every organization that put this program on tonight, so please stick around. If you had a question and you did not have a chance to answer it, please, the panelists will be here, and also the members of these organizations will be here as well to answer your questions. Okay, so we're gonna keep this question thing going. We're gonna start right here. May you please introduce yourself, tell you where you're from, anything else that you would like to add, and also just ask your question.
Thank you. My name is Dara Jayola. I'm from Nigeria. I want to ask this question. I've noticed since I came to the US in 2016 that it's my opinion that a lot of Africans and African Americans are not very close. They don't really have close relationships, and I was wondering why that is. When I first came, I was kind of excited to talk to black people, like African Americans, and I was talking to someone like, oh, I can't wait to. And the person was like, well, the whites are probably nicer than the black Americans or the African Americans. And I'm like, oh, really? So there's that perception. And sometimes when we meet the African Americans and we try to talk, or when we talk, they are kind of shocked, like maybe the accent and everything, so they feel like, oh, maybe they are not part of us. So I want to know what you think about that. Like, is there this divide, like he mentioned, between us, like they are not us and we are not them? Like,
I personally don't think like there's a divide. I think it's more of like a cultural thing. So like, you come to us, you talk to us, we see you as black, so we're gonna treat you as any other black person. And saying, not to say how we treat each other is like okay, but we kind of like, you know, we throw little soft jabs at each other, just, you know, just like friendship. That's how we are in America. Like, I'm like, Josie looking kind of dusty today. Just, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, it's stuff like that. But like, I feel like it's a culture thing. So like, if we were to say that to an African, and you know, it's disrespectful. And, you know, I talk about my line brother, Ashishana. So you know, he's from Nigeria, and like I feel we butt heads a lot just off culture, because there's stuff that we do here that he doesn't do in his culture. So to him it's disrespectful, but to us that's just how we are. So we always like we just butt heads a lot just based off how we were raised and how the cultures that we were raised in. So I feel like that's where you can say the divide is.
Yeah, it's a lot of what RJ said, but there's a lot of being sort of relationships between black people, like on the surface, like even above like personal relationships, like we got our colors and we got all the other stuff that we just don't like about each other, like going on, and then you add the fact that like our cultural differences. So like with me and my friends, like we insult each other a lot, like we talk like it's called different things in different places, but if you don't know how to defend yourself verbally, you're gonna have a bad day. So it's a part of our culture, like RJ was saying, but also due to what the media portrays of black people, of African Americans and Africans, we just don't have a really good understanding of each other. So I might do something to an African that may be disrespectful, an African might do something to me that's disrespectful. So a lot of it's just the communication, like, hey, this is disrespectful because X, Y, Z, and like I know that, and I can step off, and it won't happen again. But a lot of it's just like how we treat each other, I think.
To add, I totally agree with what they're saying. Another thing I want to add on top of that is you have to understand when you come to America, I remember talking to Ashana about this, but basically in Africa you guys see each other as unity. Like if you go to somebody's home, they'll do like for you, they'll be there for you, they'll provide, am I right? Like all right? But you come to America, you don't get that. So it's like a culture shock to y'all. And one thing you have to understand too in America is black people, like as united as you are, sometimes we're not as united as that. So when you come to the picture with your culture, that kind of pushes y'all out too. You see what I'm saying? So me being who I am, I accept everybody because I'm diverse already, you know what I mean? But a lot of African Americans don't understand that, and that's from a history of one being degraded into forming our own mindset and subculture. So that's where that comes into play. Does that make sense? Okay.
Dara, I guess I could see kind of what you're saying as far as the divide, because like I moved from North Dakota to Mississippi, and like at first I felt like I think I simplified like my version of Black being that there's only one type, but seeing how it's very complex and there's many different peoples, and I would say it's not really about whether you're Black or like white people are nicer, it's whether the fact that person is willing to relate with you and relate with your different background, because I would say openly that Ugandan culture and African American culture, there's some similarities, but they're not the same. So probably that's where we kind of maybe have some issues meshing. But if someone is able to like go and vibe with you, and like even if you're different, like it's cool. Like I have friends who are Black who understand that I'm different, and maybe we not see the world the same way that they do, and it's cool. And I have friends who are white and like appreciate me for me. So I would say focus on the person and really willing to accept you wherever they come from.
Okay, all right. So now we're about to stick these last two questions together, so you can just ask yours first. She was ask hers right behind you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Wendmargen Pesha from Ethiopia. My first question is regarding what we know about Africa. So there is a media, the mainstream media talks about Africa in a certain way, and what I understand here is most Americans in general only have the knowledge of what the mainstream media tells them. But these days we have the social media, especially YouTube. So there are a lot of African American YouTubers and also African YouTubers who are going to Africa, to different places and doing research. Not research, just videos, blogs, and showing the true Africa. So have you done any kind of research, or even from the audience, if you have done any research or checking it on YouTube on your own to know about your, motherland, basically?
Thank you. All right, that's one. Just gonna stick this last. All right, this last question for you, $4,000.
Hi panel, I'm Shay. Most of you already know me. So my question to you is, do you think that Africans can appropriate African American culture and vice versa?
All right, well, I'll make the first question. Personally, I haven't done any research. Not like in-depth research, like maybe a quick 15 minutes on Google or something, but nothing like where I really gonna sit down and spend like a month or two, like really diving deep into like everything that Africa is. And the second question, yes?
So the first question, I've done, a bit of research, but at the same time, if we're talking about Africa, which is a continent, it's hard to really get in depth because you're only really gonna get to the surface of like everything. Because if you want to know about Africa as a whole, you have to look at the entire history, and then like there's a bunch of tribes, there's a bunch of different languages. It's very, very hard to like really know what you want to look for unless have some sort of connection. Maybe you want to know about the wars that happened in like the 1600s. Then you have something to go towards. Maybe you found out that your family is from Ethiopia and you want to look at Ethiopia and different tribes there, right? Some of us don't have the means to sort of get that connection, so we have a very generalized view of what's going on. But there's a difference between the generalized view that's ignorant and the generalized view that's actually up to date. So some people's generalized view is like the little sad commercials of the like starving children. But some people's generalized views that Africa is a continent with a lot of different countries, and it varies like where you go. So there's giant cities in Africa, there's a bunch of infrastructure, and they understand that, they just they don't know like what Nigeria's flag is. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. And the second one, yes, essentially, because African American culture has been built off African culture, and African culture can definitely look at African American culture and learn certain things. We can learn things from each other, and it's probably interesting for Africans to see how we've managed to like change and tweak certain things and bring it up to the modern, not bring it to the modern day, but like we have our own separate sort of institutions now for certain things. So yeah, we can each other.
Hold on one second. We have a popcorn statement, popcorn response right here.
Oh. Okay. What am I saying? But I'm not sure what the popcorn response is. All right. Caroline Collier. I'm an assistant professor here at Mississippi State. I've been here for 7 years. And I just wanted to address something that I've observed since I came. I'm originally from Kenya. And what Dara was saying, there's that perception of you're from Africa and these are, African Americans. Like there's something very different between us when there's so much similarities between us. And I know some of us say, okay, you went through slavery, you went through all these things, and you guys who are in Africa, you have no idea what we were going through. You forget that the Africans in Africa, I don't know if you've done some history, but we went through what they call scramble for Africa. And we had the white man come to Africa and scramble for Africa. So we were going through colonization. My mother was born in 1954. Kenya did not get independence until 1963. So that can quickly tell you how young, like the Kenyan government is. And therefore we are still going through the systematic perceptions that the colonial man put in Africa, So there's so much, one time I was discussing with a friend, there's so much that the Africans from Africa went through, and also the African Americans went through. And therefore, when we meet each other, we should come from that understanding and be very proactive in finding who are we and finding that commonality between us. So there's so much that we do share, And we should be aware of that. I think ignorance. There's a new book, I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called The Water Dancer by Coates. How many of us have read that book? It's Water Dancer. Yes.
I haven't read it yet.
Yes, but it's a new book and it's talking about slavery. What he's trying to tell us is we have to remember, we have to think, we have to dig our history and find where we come from. And we can't block, we can't have like an a la carte dinner where we just choose what to remember. We have to remember everything. So there's so much similarity that is between Africa and the African Americans. We share so much in common. Yeah, just comments.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give it a round of applause for that. Do you want to respond? So that kind of covered for you.
I just wanted to say, Pastor, I think you really made a really good statement. I just recommend for anybody in this room after this this event to just go ahead and do some research on different African countries and just don't take what you see on mainstream media as don't use that as your perception of Africa, because it's never completely accurate, and it's far from it actually. There's so much history and so much within not just countries but within each culture, and there's so many differences between us, and I think, like the Professor said, I think it's more important to find the similarities between all of us, and yeah.
So now, you're 100% right. You're right. We all go through the same things. I just feel like it's not taught to us. You know what I mean? Like we don't know about this stuff, so we're ignorant of it. And ignorant in the way we don't know, not that we're dumb. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that the American government just did to us, and it messed us up. You know what I mean? To go on your question, Wendell, I've kind of done my research because I did the ancestry thing a while back, and I have a lot of places in Africa, like my ancestors come from. I think it's really cool, and I don't know how they track that back, but yeah, but it's kind of cool myself. But when it comes to actually like the culture, like for instance, I didn't know that. So, but I didn't know you guys are like Africa's in one country, it's different countries within a country. I remember we talked about that too. And to answer your question, I do believe African Americans and Africans can come together because we've done it already. So,
I thank you very much, Professor, for what you said. And I want to extend it a bit to mention that often you might hear this rhetoric that people say that there seems to be a problem with black peoples of the world generally, that blacks are backward and all of those things. When I hear things like that, I get very livid. And I tell people, oppress certain people for years, and you will find out that it will be difficult for them to go beyond the level you have put them, even when they struggle. And that is the truth of the matter. Not just African Americans, not just Africans within Africa, not just the people in the Caribbean, but any human being that has been oppressed for a sustained period. The ideology of oppression will always govern such a person. Whites, Native Americans. So the suffering of people should not be trivialized. Any race, any ethnicity, anybody, the violence perpetrated against anyone should not be trivialized or should not be seen as inferior to the other. The fact that African Americans suffered from slavery, the fact that Africans suffered from colonialism, the fact that I worked on South Africa. South Africa is the main country I worked on. I'm working on Rwanda now. The fact that Rwanda went through genocide, the fact that South Africa suffered post-apartheid or apartheid trauma does not mean that we will trivialize their realities for slavery. The reality of everybody in terms of suffering is as difficult to represent as another person's. So when we think through suffering, when we think through violence, when we think through oppression, we don't think about necessarily something trivial. We are talking about something that is intergenerational. And that's why we talk about intergenerational trauma. Trauma can last for generations. So as an African, when you come to America and you see some things about African Americans, it's not your right to start saying what you don't know, because they have gone through years of oppression. As as an African American, when you see Africans behaving somehow, it's not your right to say what you don't know, because you also don't know the oppression they have gone through. When you see Native Americans, peoples who have suffered, and I'm polarizing peoples because that's it. Peoples who have history will always have vestiges of suffering. It's the same thing. Those of us who are Christians, when you read the Bible, you talk about the Israelites. They suffered in Egypt even after Moses liberated them. They still continued to suffer. They said they wanted to go back to Egypt. That shows you that there's something in the human psyche that deals with oppression. I can go on, but that's one. The other thing is, can Africans appropriate? Of course, I'm not the same person I was last year. Okay, there are some things about America, there are some things that I've seen here that I've adapted into my way of life. Human beings adapt. So it's only natural that in a new environment, you change some things, you acquire some things, you leave some things. And we have spoken about African American appropriating aspects of life from Africa. So when it comes to adapting into different aspects of life, it's just fundamental. I'm not sure there is any human being who can actually resist adaptation to an extent. When you are faced in a new environment and you are open to it for a long time, some things will definitely change.
For the first one, thank you, Aunt Caroline. Knowledge is power, and I do agree that having knowledge creates informed decisions. And I have to say I have done some research in Uganda, but not so much in the western parts. So I, of course, could expand to get a whole general view of how the countries in Africa have interacted over the past ever so years. As far as your question, was it can Africans appropriate African culture?
And vice versa.
And vice versa, so Africans appropriating African American culture. I think you have to step back and define what appropriation means. So I could get help with that, but like my understanding is that appropriation is when you were to take something from someone else's culture, probably for, like, I would say that it would not to appropriate would be to like, you have an understanding of that person's culture, but like to appropriate means like using it, like if someone's sweater has a travel pattern, but it's like cute, you're using it for that. Is that a consensus? So I would say, as far as later, so like after Black Panther came out in the Wakanda movement, you're seeing a lot of Africans wearing like tribal shirts and dashikis. Like I have no problem with that because as far as what we talked about identity, I feel, I can only speak for my own, but I feel like wearing a dashiki is probably what they want to identify with, so I have no problem with that. When it is used in like malintent, probably someone who's using it for like a fashion statement and not for an identity purpose, I feel like that's where it's a problem, and I feel like that's where it sides or is similar to appropriation. So I feel like I wouldn't be sure that Africans Americans can appropriate African culture for the purpose of identity. I don't feel like that's appropriation is the right word to get a sense of belonging or a sense of identity. As far as Africans using the word appropriating African American culture, that's a great question. That's why I'm studying this online. I'm not sure on that one. Let me pass it back to the panel.
We're just gonna take this one last comment from the night, and then we might just end it off right here. So you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Grace, and I'm from Nigeria. I really appreciate the panelists, but I want to say this. You say, during the enslavement, let me say that, loved ones were separated. So brothers, children, were taken away forcefully. So it's either their parents were back in Africa or their sisters, which we are. Do you get that? So they went through that pain, the emotional distress for years. Like you never see your loved ones, your sons, your daughter, your husband was taken away from you forcefully with brutality. So you should understand that pain, in Mother Africa. So it wasn't easy. So that pain was there, losing your loved ones. Do you get that? So when those people that were taken away are here, then part of them in Africa were there mourning for years, like you never see your loved one, like never. But thank God, some of us are coming here, and we are happy to see you guys. You know, we know it has been a series of events over events, but yeah, we are happy that you are strong, you are beautiful, and you are here. So, and when we talk about the culture, you know, imbibing the culture, yeah, it's possible. Like, we talk about language, you know, dressing and so many things, when we talk about culture. When I came from Nigeria, I wasn't speaking this way, you know, but I lived with an American, Black American precisely. And they'll be like, oh, Grace, we can't understand you. What are you saying? You know, we always call our T, like, we pronounce our T and so many other words in African way. And it's just a lot of stress. So I have to try and learn some things. So it happened and it can still happen. So there will always be that interaction. When you keep relating with people, you learn from them and they learn from you. So it is very, very possible that we have this diffusion in our culture, which is ours. Anyways, let me put it out. You know, it is our culture. You know, African culture is our culture. So that is just my little comment. And, you know, so we really missed our loved ones that were separated from us. So it wasn't easy at all.
Thank you. I just want to answer the question that you asked regarding how Africans appropriate African American culture. So what I want to say is, actually, when you come to America, you feel like African Americans are not really the minority. Because the culture, especially the hip hop culture, how it dominates the world, is not like you know, any other music genre. You know, country or you know or pop is not that dominant in the rest of the world like hip hop. So the hip hop culture is actually very popular in Africa, and most of the youths are you know, learning the culture, the African American culture through that, and they are actually you find them behave just like the singers, the rappers. So if you go to the cities, you know, downtown in Addis, you'll see a guy walking just like, you know, an African American, and also his trouser is a bit, you know, pulled down.